right. Well, the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party has condemned the increase in the pump price of fuel to over 1,000 naira per litre, and that's in various parts of the country, describing it as a brutal assault on the sensibility and well-being of Nigerians. The party's National Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologunagba, disclosed the position of the NWC in a statement after its meeting in Abuja. It said the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration has dragged over 150 million Nigerians below the poverty line, noting that businesses are collapsing daily as the naira now exchanges for over 1,600 naira to the dollar, with over 34% inflation rate and more than 40% unemployment rate, which are expected to rise further with the latest, well, what is described as draconian increase in the price of petrol. Right, let's bring in Professor Uche Uwaleke, who is the director of the Institute of Capital Market Studies at Nassarawa State University, close by here in Kefi. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight. Well, I want to believe, watching, those reports, listening to Nigerians, many people don't seem to be happy with this price increase, except, of course, maybe the petrol dealers themselves, who may be not only smiling to the banks, but laughing all the way, to the banks. But let's get your thoughts on the one hand, this pump price increase and the Dangote rollout, which ordinarily we're all, celebrating.
Yeah. Well, Ngozi, I think everybody's feeling the pinch. Is the recent hike is no doubt an ill wind that is blowing nobody any good. You can hear from the reports, people spending hours, at the filling station, a lot of endless hours, a lot of man hours, wasted. When inflation rates for July was reported at 33.4, coming down from, the height, it reached in June. So some of us thought that, the situation had turned the corner, inflation had turned the corner. But with this recent hike, there is every likelihood that inflation will resume an upward trend, particularly when it's reported, in September, because it's going to affect the direct impact we are going to see on transport. Cost of transport will go up, and a lot of sectors are transport dependent. You have manufacturing, you have agriculture, you have trade, and for me it represents an upside risk to the inflation challenge. And not just the inflation challenge, even the GDP, even the economic activities, because it's likely to contract economic activities, especially via those sectors that I mentioned. You expect to see manufacturing tanking further. If you look at the last GDP reports, the Q2 report, you saw manufacturing dropping to 1.28%, agri growing, tepidly at 1.41%, and you also notice that transportation, even in that report, entered in negative territory, dropped by as much as minus 13.5%. So, and we saw that also reflect in, there was a pass-through, we could say it in trade. Trade also dropped. So you have sectors that connect directly, with the transport sector. So once transport costs go up, it affects, so many sectors. But on the Dangote thing, I want to say is something to really, cheer about. We expect that with what has happened, going forward, we should expect improvement in fuel supply. We should also expect, more importantly for me, less pressure on the naira. Okay, so I want to believe that going forward,
we hear it will remove some 40% of forex demand.
Forex demand.
What impact is that likely to have on not just the naira, the economy as a whole?
Yes, you see, in the medium term, if that crystallizes, what you should expect again is that the pass-through to inflation, will be positive in the sense that exchange rate also has an impact on inflation. But that is likely to happen in the medium term. Okay, yes, when we begin to see appreciation in the naira. But again, I want to say this, that much as it is a positive development, I had expected by now the NNPC to also issue out statements. I visited the website, shortly before I came in here, and I didn't see enough information. I won't expect to
what
see
were
by
you
now.
expecting the NNPC to say?
Yes, I expect to see frequently asked questions. Trying to explain what this relationship is with Dangote.
Right.
Dangote is saying, for example, NNPC is going to be the sole off-taker.
The sole off-taker, yeah.
Okay. NNPC is going to also control the prices.
Exactly.
Okay. So you don't leave these things to public speculation. Okay, you should come out to say why that is so.
Let me just very quickly butt in here. If you as a businessman, you open a business, would you want a one customer business? Like we know of the one customer bank. You remember that advert?
Yeah.
Does it even make sense at all that you would open a business just for one customer?
Yes,
no matter how big they are.
Yes, you see, I also want to believe that there must be a reason for this.
Right.
Sometimes when we talk about information asymmetry, it's usually in favor of the government, because the government may have information that is not at the disposal of the public.
Right.
That's why I'm arguing that NNPC by now should have come out to release information regarding the issue of sole off-taker, and also regarding the issue of pricing. That way you remove a lot of uncertainties, and you also give people confidence. No doubt it's possible they mean well. Nobody is doubting that, but that information should be out there, in the public. Now regarding what I can say to maybe let me hazard a guess.
Yes.
Okay, is the fact that even as we speak, all right, the landing cost of fuel is higher than even the price. We hear
right now.
Yes, right now. The product cost alone. The product cost, if you look at the, of course, that is not determined by us. International crude oil price is, if you convert that to naira using our exchange rate, you have around over 1,020 something.
So the worst may not be over as far as the issue of pump price of petrol is concerned.
Yes, because there is still, in my view, there's still, in my view, a level of support. A level of support, which is why I said the NNPC should, come out more open, about it. There's no doubt that the exchange rate, volatility we've seen, and the fact that it's high, has also imposed another form of cost. There's a clear difference between the cost of the product and what the consumers are paying. Yeah. So that's what people call subsidy. So it is still there. There's no denying the fact. There's no doubt about that.
Even though government has always said,
because by the time you now add, apart from that
subsidy.
product cost, by the time you now add, the issue of freight. Why I'm talking about freight is because even Dangote is only going to supply 25 million liters
by the end of this month,
which does not meet the full domestic demand.
Yeah, but some are saying that with Dangote, when it fully begins to roll out, it might give us a clear indication of exactly how much Nigerians are consuming.
Absolutely, and he has also said that even the kind of trucks they will use to move the products will be tracked. Yeah. So I think that's a good thing. But what I'm saying is that at the initial stages we may not see the demand fully met. Some imports will still be done. Okay, that's why I talked about the other components of this fuel price, whether it's freight, whether it's insurance, whether it is port charges, whether it is levies for the NUPRA, okay, finance cost, including the marketer's margin. Whatever these costs are, this is the time I think we should really interrogate those components, those the pricing model. Yeah. So we need to use this opportunity to audit them, interrogate them, to see the ones that are still relevant, okay, and what needs to be reduced. Right. Okay, because at the end of the day, by the time you do what I'm suggesting now, you may find out that what they are calling cost, may not be the full cost of it. It may be less.
Now, beyond all of this, let's look at the economic reforms so far. I mean, we heard from experts that, look, there are no reforms, no country goes through reforms without this, labor pains. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So, I mean, is the worst over yet, or is it's going to still get worse before it gets better? Okay. From what you're seeing so far, any indication to that effect?
Well, I would say
things indeed will get better.
Yeah, of course. I want to be positive. I want to be optimistic. Right. Things will certainly get better. I am convinced about it. I know one or two things have been put in place. But what I also think should happen, especially with regard to what has just happened, this hike, okay? You see, when you are increasing pump price of fuel on the one hand, on the other hand, you're also holding compensation mechanisms, okay? So you're looking at the two, at the same time. And the right sequence actually should be to, first of all, throw out the compensation mechanisms before you jack up the price. Now, what you find all over the
compensation also comes at a cost.
No, what I mean by compensation mechanisms,
like palliatives and what have you.
Yes, whatever you put in place, okay, whatever you put in place to cushion, to shield the consumers from the adverse impact of the reform, okay. So that's what I expect now to happen, okay. In many parts of the world, what usually happens is because of the direct impact it usually has on transport. So you find in many places that comes by way of investment in mass transit, investment in some places they use coupon, transport coupon. Yeah. Okay. Of course, there is the other social protection schemes you can start to ramp up, in those places. But more importantly, the aspect of transport. Now, why I said I have hope and that something is, I know something is being done, is this issue of the CNG.
The CNG.
Yes, I want to believe that by the time it is rolled out and scaled up, okay, it will go a long way to, impact, the transport cost, positively.
The long and short of it all, Nigerians want to know, how do we achieve energy security in this country? Yeah. That we don't find ourselves back here.
Yeah. The best way to achieve energy security, thank God you have Dangote already, it has begun production, 650,000 barrels per day. But that's not enough. I also think, we need to revitalize, resuscitate our local refineries. They need to work. Okay?
Yeah, well, we hear NNPC is looking for investors for Warri and Kaduna refinery, I believe. Yeah.
Yes, but they've been talking about Port Harcourt refinery for a long time, and that that hasn't happened.
After $1.2 billion investment.
So I think what is required now is even to let the NNPC wash its hands off those refineries. Okay, give them to private hands, to manage, completely privatize them. I think, doing that will be, more beneficial, for the economy, including, I've also said, even NNPC
itself.
Yes, itself also needs to some sort of, overhaul. By overhaul, I mean, this is also the time to begin to think of how to make it go public. Okay,
right. I mean, so you agree with calls that the NNPC should be listed?
Oh yes, it should be listed. No matter the little you put in there. Very successful oil companies, globally, are not 100% owned by the government. You know of Equinor in Norway. Yeah. The government has 67%, interest. The rest are in the private hands. You also know about even Petrobras.
Yes, Petrobras,
the government has also, given out about 49% interest. Aramco, okay, has also
Saudi Aramco.
The Saudi Aramco government also.
So why is Nigeria not able to?
That is the recommendation.
Use this template.
Yes, that's the recommendation. NNPC Limited, should also become a listed company. Once you have that listing, it has a way of improving disclosure. It has a way of improving, corporate governance, in the institution. So energy security, as I said earlier on, is to ensure that our refineries work. It will have a long, it will go a long way to also even help this exchange rate, firm up the naira, because that will substantially reduce the demand for dollar. So refineries should work. And of course, when you talk about energy, it's not just the refineries, even the electricity sector. That's also why I think that the reforms, that have been put in place, in my view, the reforms are necessary reforms, but again, they have to be well sequenced. You don't put them all, all at once inside the bucket.
Professor Uche Uwaleke, thank you so much for joining us. Director, Institute of Capital Market Studies, University of Nassarawa.
Nassarawa State University.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.